Finally, after what's going on several years at this point, I'm going to get this old power steering pump swapped out with a Saginaw that I've had for quite some time now. It's gotten to the point now where it just has that DeLorean time machine whine to it, and it's just starting to get a little bit old. So here goes. Got the pump all stripped down, got it repainted. Haven't actually tested it yet, but it did have a reman sticker on it, so I'm hopeful that there's nothing wrong with it. I got a pulley that's not bent. Got that off eBay. And then I debated whether or not I wanted to spray this or just leave it natural, but it looked pretty bad no matter how much I cleaned it, so I just went ahead and hit it with some aluminum spray paint. And I've also got a cooler that I got off of Super Duty, and I haven't decided whether or not I'm actually going to use it or not. I guess I'll just cross that bridge when I get there. I think to start, I'm going to pull the air pipes and the vent tube off, probably get this upper radiator hose out of the way. I'll get this stuff out of here and see where I'm at. That was pretty painless. I think I did notice, though, my coolant's getting a little murky, so I might need to get that changed. One of the things that I didn't get with the Saginaw bracket is this bracket right here. So I'm hoping this is the same on both of them. Because the one that it came with, it didn't have air conditioning. So it came with like a air conditioning replacement bracket. And that was the one thing that I wasn't sure about, but we'll see. I'll have to figure it out. I guess next I just need to get my filter off and get the fluid drained out of this thing. And just let that drain. I noticed when I was going to take the belt off, I couldn't get this tensioner to move at all, so I twisted it the opposite direction to tighten it, and it actually, like, something snapped. It's like it was almost like it was frozen in that position. Now it seems to move freely. So I'm looking at this AC compressor, this short hose here. Looks like it's just gonna have to let it rest down there, because I can't really move it around. I think I'll start with these lower bolts and then get this bracket unhooked and just set it down in there. I think next I'll get the high pressure line off, and then chicken the grease. And there's still plenty of fluid in there to make a mess. I want to make sure you unhook your compressor clutch before you drop it, because then you don't snap it off and ruin your day. You also want to unhook the pressure switch for the AC. You can just kind of fling this stuff out of the way there. Something to take note of is the right lower, if you're looking at it, bolt will not come out all the way because of this line right here. So that may be an issue when it's going back together, as far as getting the bolt back in, but that'll remain to be seen, because I got to see how the different line connects. One thing I do want to check is, I've seen online where the threads changed at some point, and so I want to make sure the threads that I have with these bolts are the same, so I don't have to. Yeah, it looks like they are. If I had to run a tap through them, it'd be a lot easier to do it sitting on a bench than after I have everything bolted in. So it looks like I'm good there, so awesome. Let's start at the bottom and work my way up here. So that one's obvious, and I think there's another one. It's all covered in crud, but there's another one right there. And then there's a couple up here. One of them's connected to a metal bracket. The other one's connected to the block. And there's this one right here on the ear that's connected to the block, and I think that's it. Get this thing out of here. Okay. I missed one. Gotta loosen that one to get this bracket out of the way. So you can pull it out of there. And with that out of the way, it should pull right out of here. There we go. Throw these in some gasoline. Uh-oh. I think while I have the thing apart, I'm just gonna get that all cleaned up down in there. I got that cleaned up pretty good. It's pretty clear I got a front seal leak, but that'll be a project for a different day. I got everything mounted up pretty good as far as the bracket goes. One thing that is different though is this bolt hole here is much smaller than the one that was on the other bracket, so I'll have to probably either find a different bolt or just drill this one out and tap it to fit the bolt that was on the other one. I probably should have broke my pressure line loose before putting the bracket on, but I think I can still get to it pretty easy. I managed to get the high pressure line off. I don't recommend Harbor Freight flare wrenches though, because they suck. I almost stripped the thing off trying to get it off with that wrench. And I got the AC compressor put on. Used a little anti-seize, so since everything's going into pot metal / aluminum. Well, I got a little ahead of myself. Forgot to check and see if the bracket was going to fit and put it on. And it looks like it is the same, so I'm happy about that. Now it's starting to come together. Looks a lot better sitting in there than the other pump that was in it. One of the things that seems to be an issue with people doing this on the V8 variant is the power steering hose. But I noticed on the Inline 6, if you follow it here, I just had to kind of reroute it back here a little bit. It goes down and it kind of darn near fits like the other one that I have for the other pump. So the van hose works fine if you're doing it on a Inline 6. I almost forgot I needed to tap out that hole for the throttle bracket. Had to remove that because it was kind of tough getting that T-handle in there. But the tap is a 3/8 by 16 in the event that anybody else needs to do this. I didn't have to drill the hole at all. It's actually, the hole was a little larger than it needed to be, but the tap's working fine. I went ahead and reused my magnetic filter that I had put on previously since it doesn't have a whole lot of use with it. I decided I'm not going to put the cooler on, mainly because this is a 2-wheel drive, short bed, half-ton truck, and I mean, it would just really be way overkill. I had to resort to my redneck pulley installer. Since the last time I used my power steering pulley set, I must have destroyed the installer portion, which seems like happens every time you buy one of these cheap things, so I'll see how it goes with the redneck one. Okay, well, the redneck tool may not be easier necessarily, but I'm making progress here. Belt back on, everything's rerouted there. The belt you're supposed to use is about 1/4 of an inch longer. It's not much. But I was able to get this one back on here, but it was a pretty tight fit. So at some point I'll probably get the one for the van when I replace it, but I still have a little bit of play in the tensioner, so I'm not gonna worry about it right now. Just need to get the radiator hooked back up. I'm gonna give it a test fire and see how it does. All right, fire this thing up. probably ought to hook the first spark plug back up, although the pump seems to be working right off the bat without making a whole lot of noise, so try it again here. I have to say, I don't have any complaints about that at all. That's beautiful. I got in and started it and started turning the wheels, and I hardly heard anything, and it was really odd because it almost makes you think it's not working, but it was working just like it was supposed to. So that's definitely a worthwhile upgrade if you can get the parts. I think I'm gonna get this stuff cleaned up before I put it back together completely. But that's what it looks like down there. I don't see any leaks. Have to keep an eye out. Yeah, I always like to clean my plastic parts when I have them out of the vehicle. Sometimes it only takes a second. Might as well do it while I can get to it easily. I'm gonna take a trip, get it nice and warmed up, and see how it sounds once everything's up to temperature. Well, there's no leaks. I do notice once it's warmed up, right around 2,000 RPMs, I get a little bit of whine. But I don't know the history of the pump, so I'll just see how it goes. It might just be getting some air out of the lines. I might have to address it further, but overall, definitely a worthwhile upgrade. Even it steers easier, so that's an added plus. So, thanks for watching.